Farming comes with a lot of challenges. Especially this year with inflation and lower crop prices than I would like. If you know me, hi, I am Zoe, by the way. You know I am not the best at staying organized. What? Did I do my math? I might have not updated this the other day. As a farmer, we have to keep track of a lot of information. The more organized and prepared you are when talking to those important people you work with, like your landlords or lenders, the better the outcome of that conversation will probably be. It's one thing to get organized by putting your cost of production, yield, and other key information into some spreadsheets or software. Personally, I've got a lot of Excel spreadsheets going on with a lot of different information, but I can't easily access all that information in one place to see how all those factors come together to form the bigger picture, or to analyze where I could squeeze a little bit more profit out of my farm. Now, there is a new app called AcreHedge that lets you do this. AcreHedge is digitized state university crop budgets and made it easy for you to input your information in so you can instantly compare where you stand with the state averages. Now you can run scenarios to find out ways to reduce expenses or make your dollars go further. Now, if a salesman comes to your farm and they say, hey, this is our latest and greatest product, you can quickly input the cost of that product to decide if it's worth the extra dollars spent. Now, the tools are simple and easy to use. When you are done, the app generates a clean and organized report that you can bring with you when you are talking to people that you do business with. The folks at AcreHedge are working on some other cool tools to help you hedge your crop prices without having to mess around with confusing trading platforms, but that's still in the works. Okay, let's go see how this app works. The first thing that we're going to do when we get to AcreHedge is we're going to click sign up here at the top right hand corner, and we're going to enter our email address in. Agree to terms and services, and we're going to click continue. Okay, it will bring you to this page next, and we'll enter our farm name, click continue again, and then we're going to put in our address. Now, we're going to use Ohio as our example today because that's where my farm is located, but I just wanted to note that currently AcreHedge has full crop budgets for Arkansas, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, and Ohio, with more coming soon. If your state has not been onboarded yet, then the budgets will default to the USDA commodity cost and returns for your region. We're going to click continue. Now, today for our example, we are going to select corn. You guessed it, we're going to click continue next, and then we're going to put in how many acres we have. So I'm going to do 200 acres, and we'll then enter the bushels per acre for our yield, and I will also say it's going to be 200 bushels an acre. Now the type is going to be non-irrigated. Here's where the fun begins. So we have the Revenue Planner and Crop Optimizer. The Revenue Planner and Crop Optimizer has been designed to help farmers centralize and organize their revenue planning and crop budgets. All you have to do is input crop data on your farm, and you'll get a nice, neat visualization of what your crop is worth. Okay, so let's go into my budgets. Putting in a test now, so we will call this field test 1. Acres farmed we put in as 200, with the average bushel per acre being 200 as well. We'll say that I have 100% ownership on this. If you're like me and my dad, sometimes we have different names for fields, so that's another way to keep things organized. For basis, we'll say that we think we can get 15 cents over. Now, an example of a production adjustment at one of my elevators, if you have high test weight, you can get a little bit of a premium on those bushels. So we'll put in a 2-cent premium. And then if there's any economic assistance, you can put that in as well. I want to note that we're going to be putting this information in as dollars per acre. So first, we're going to see this variable expense category for seed, fertilizer, fungicides, and then we also have a fixed expense right there. Now, one thing that you can do is you can upload scanned receipts and statements in here. So we're going to input our own numbers and it compares it to the state budget. So let's say that I know that my cost per acre for corn seed is going to be $155. Now, when we input that information in, it shows that we are paying $35 per acre more than the state budget. Now, let's say that we locked in our fertilizer at a great price, and we can put that in there and it will show that we are saving $20 compared to the state budget. So we'll input all of this information in here. Also a second option as well. So if you have a bookkeeper or someone who just loves Excel spreadsheets, you can download templates here. There's a simplified or detailed version where you can input your crop information. You can upload your Excel spreadsheet here. Now, once we are done with this field, we look it over, we're happy with it. We will click Save My Budget. Now we're going to put in an additional test. So we're going to add another budget in here. We're going to call this test number 2. We're going to say that we farm 100 acres here. We'll say that the historical average is 195. Now we will say that our seed cost is going to be a little bit cheaper. It's going to be $145, but our fertilizer expense, we didn't lock in enough. It's going to be $170 per acre. And then we will click Save My Budget. So now we will have all of our corn on this first tab right here, and then we'll click over to our individual fields. Now you'll see right here that the price net of basis is going to be $4.44 here due to what our input costs and yield are as compared to our test number 1. Now this is a great way to compare your fields and then get an overall picture of what's going on. Now we can scroll down here and we'll see this is where we can input information on soybeans and wheat.
Now, when we go into My Budget and put Optimize Budget, we can really bring all of these things together. In the Crop Optimizer, we can use the Revenue Planner to put in some forward crop sales. We can adjust the yield of our farm. We can adjust all those variable and fixed expenses. On this page, we can take into account both inputs and sales to look at the numbers as a whole, giving us real-time feedback. So for example, let's put in a sale. We'll say this is for April 5th of 2025. We're going to sell 5,000 bushels at $5.05. We can see how our expected revenue is adjusted. Now we can play with the yield, say, oh, we're actually not going to get that much of a yield. Pop that back up high. Now you can also type in the numbers exactly, 195, or you can use these to scroll. So 203 sounds great. Now let's say that you decided to variable rate your seed. You actually ended up using a little bit less. You can see how those numbers adjust. So let's say, for example, you have a salesman come to your farm and they want to sell a fungicide. You know it's going to cost you $15 an acre, but it'll also bring up your yield by 10 more bushels. You can see how that affects your overall outlook on both sides. Now you can play with all of these numbers. You can pull them in either direction, adjusting for all of the different things. And don't worry, if you get lost, after you've played around a lot, you can always just go back up here and hit reset. As a farmer, we are constantly making decisions on our farm. I really like how we can use this tool to quickly adjust, get real-time feedback, and see how all those decisions are going to affect our bottom line.
Okay, so we're back to my dashboard. So we have our congregated information for all of our corn right here on this first page. We will click over to where we have our individual fields. So we have our budget for the individual fields, and we have our revenue planner for when we make sales. The last thing that I want to highlight for you guys is the exporting a report. So let's say that your landlord stops by and wants to talk about cash rent prices. You can quickly export off a report. You're just going to click Export Report. And just like that, in moments, you have a clean, easy to read crop budget report. You can print this off, hand it to a landlord, do whatever you need to do with this information. Looks good to me.